So you've pruned your bonsai and now you're keen to get wiring. Okay, great, that's fantastic. But first of all, I think what we need to do is just jump back a little bit and just think about why we're wiring it. What is the purpose of putting wire on the bonsai? Some people actually believe that a bonsai is only a bonsai if it's got loads of wire on it. Well, not true. A bonsai is a miniature tree in an ornamental pot. The purpose for wiring it is to tweak it here and there. In my view, it's not to over bend it and over twist it and make it look a bit odd. It is just to tweak it. And what I mean by that is, in this branch here, it's nicely pruned, it's got a nice shape to it now, but I would like to just bring it down a little bit, alright, so that the branch is sagging. Most of the other branches are coming down at that angle, and this one looks a little bit out of place. So I want to change that. Now, for me to actually cut that off and regrow it so it was growing down would take me many years. So wiring is a little bit of a shortcut, and we can do that. The branch is fairly flexible, so we can move it a little bit. We can also add a little bit of shape into this branch, and what I mean by shape is, if you have a look, it is actually quite straight. The trunk has got this nice curve to it, all right? So I want that curve to continue down the branch. And I can use wire to achieve this. So I can then have a look around, is there anything else that needs wiring? Well, there is a branch at the back here, which is also, it's coming down, it's actually at a nice angle, but it's a little bit straight. And also I would like to just bring it around a little bit. So as we look at it from the front here, I would just like to try and, if I can, put a little bit of wire on it and maybe just ease him around so he fills out this space here. So rather than being tucked right behind the tree, all right, he just comes out into this bit of space here. I don't want to clutter up the inside of this curve too much because I love that. So I have to just be quite subtle about it. I don't want to bend him too much. And of course, we can do that throughout. Even some of the smaller twigs can be just altered here and there, tweaked. So rather than cutting everything off and trying to regrow it in the ideal position, which can take many years, and in fact that's how bonsai were grown originally. They weren't always wired, it was always the cut and grow method, and that produces a fantastic bonsai because that aids the proportions of the bonsai as well. But I think wiring has its place if it's done properly, and that's what I want to show you how to do. So the first thing is we're going to need some things to get going with. Obviously you've gone through your step-by-step guide, so you should have a bit of an idea what's going through, and I think it's a nice thing just to have there. Oh yes, yes, I remember that from watching the video, so it's a prompt. You will obviously need some wire. So we've got a couple of rolls here. Alright, it's got different sizes here. We've got a smaller one, slightly thicker one. So smaller branches, smaller wire, so on and so on. Wire cutters, alright. So here we've got some nice snips. So what we'll do is we'll take those out and have a look at these. These are just for cutting the wire, okay? So they're not for pruning the branch or anything like that. It might sound a bit silly. But you can see here they're nice and sharp, very, very chunky. They've got sprung loaded handles, so they just spring back open again. So when you're doing a lot of wiring, little things like that make quite a lot of difference. So here we are, we're going to do some wiring. So I'm going to start with this wire, this branch, and I've got to select the right size wire. Now, that's one of the tricky things. It does come with experience. I think the smaller one, let's just take him out a little bit, and what you can do is you can sort of bend it around a little bit, get used to the feel of it, and think, well, it'll probably hold a little bit, but I don't think it will do what I need it to do. So I'm going to just go up to the next size, and I think this one will be fine. Obviously you get some really big branches, you can have some really, really big wire. Very difficult to put on. So we're starting with the easy stuff. Got a little bit of a kink on the end there. I'm just going to cut that off. I like my wire to be nice and straight. So what I'm going to do is unwind it a little bit, and I'm going to run it alongside the wire, the branch there. I just want to get an approximate length. We're not going to cut it off at the same length as the branch, all right? We don't want the same length because we're going to be coiling it around. So the wire is going to need to be a little bit longer to allow for that. So I'm going to allow about that much. It's always surprising how much more you do need. So I'm going to hold that there. Now, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I'll need that much out to there. I need to anchor this wire to the tree. In order for it to hold the branch, the wire has to be anchored onto something nice and firm. So we're going to anchor it onto the trunk here. At the same time, I'm going to look, is there any other branches that might need a little bit of a tweak? That one, I think we could put a little bit of shape into that one. This one at the back here, yes, we can change that one as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to coil around the trunk and come up to my next branch, which is this one here, all right? And then I'm going to come down this branch. So I'm going to leave that bit coiled up, and I'm going to very carefully, let's just open him up a little bit. Now what I'm trying to do is not break off the branch as I pull the wire around. Okay, it's a little bit tricky getting the first bit started. Now I'm bending the wire with my fingers and my thumb, and I'm putting the curve into the wire before I actually put it onto the tree, and then I just carefully sort of place it down. So what I'm not doing is I'm not just wiring it, sort of winding it around the tree, because then what happens is the wire tightens up and starts to clamp and cut into the tree, and that just leaves nasty scars. So alright, going around here. Now take your time, it is fiddly, and but it is important to get the wire on nicely. I'm trying not to leave gaps between the wire and the tree. Keep it nice and even. Roughly the wire should be about 45-degree angle to the branch or the trunk. By that, you know, this sort of angle here. Coming around now. So I've got to the other branch. Let's have a look under there. That's good. So being very gentle to place the wire on. And now we get to this point where there's lots of little twigs and leaves and things, so we've got to try and sort of weave it in and out a bit. So let's put that there. Can you see that? Very good. Here we go. Have a look under there. Looking good. Twig in the way there. Come down. Yeah. Right. Okay, nearly at the end there now. So, and so you can see we've come all the way down here. That's good. Now to a point where I can cut the wire now. Now what I try to do when I'm trimming the wire off is I cut it in such a way, and this is just me being a little bit fussy, because I always think while the wire is on the tree it should kind of disappear a little bit. I mean, I know it's shiny and I know you can see it, but what I like to do is to make the wire sort of look like it's part of the tree, it's kind of joined in there. And it's one of those silly little things, so I cut the wire off where you can't see the end of it. And that way, psychologically, if we can't see the end of the wire, it looks like it's part of the tree. And I will trim that one back a little bit. Okay, that's good. So, from the viewing side, I don't like to be able to see the end of the wire. That's silly, me being fussy, that's up to you. Right, so let's continue down here so we can take this wire around here now. Alright, let's get that round there. Just carefully carry on forming the wire. Mind all the little twigs. Give it a look. Around. Right. A couple of little twigs there, just carefully weave the wire in about. I mean, if you do knock off a little twig or a leaf here, it's not the end of the world, so don't worry too much. It does happen quite a lot. A little twig in there, so I'll do is just get that bit of wire. That's it, ease them out there. That's nice. Right, what I'll do here is I'll show you what I mean about the end of the wire showing. So I will cut this one off there and see if I can show you. I don't know if you can see, but we've got the end of the wire showing there. Alright. Now I'm going to trim the wire back sort of underneath. Still see a bit there. Right. So now hopefully you can't see the end of the wire. Alright. Anyway, you'll see it for yourself. So there we are, so we've got that one wired. Alright, nice and neat. Now we'll come back round. And I'm hoping that, because this is, one at the back here is quite a thick branch, I'm not quite sure whether one piece of wire will be enough. We might have to run another one alongside it. This one should be alright though. So what we'll do is we'll bring him down a little bit. Okay, there we go. That's better. And I'm just going to put my thumb in here, bend him back a little bit at a time. Alright, don't force it too much because obviously it can snap, and it does happen, so just be careful. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a finger in here and just bend him back the other way a bit. So I'm putting a little kink in. Alright. So a little bit of a tweak here, a little bit of a twist, and so now what we've got is this nice little twist. Okay. That's better. A bit more in keeping now. So let's have a little play with this one at the back here, see if we can just adjust him a little bit. I don't think he's going to want to go. No. So I think what we'll have to do is run another wire alongside that one, take him up the trunk, and then onto this one here. Okay, because he's a little bit straight as well. So I'll go ahead and do that. Choose my wire. Then I think I'll stick with a thicker one for now. I want to run my wire alongside the original one, trying to avoid crossing the original one, so just follow him around. Put that one on there. Now I can just come around the trunk. That anchors my wire to the tree. Just check that's going on nicely, that's good. Just give me a bit more slack. There. So, nicely anchored onto the tree, so it's not going to wobble around while I'm trying to place it down the trunk, down the branch. In and out. I'm trying to follow the original wire as closely as I can. I did it, pulled one off, never mind. Little twigs, they grow quite quickly, so not too much of a problem. What we don't want to do obviously is to break off a main branch, because that takes a few years to grow back, so to be avoided. Right, down, and we're going to snip him off the same place. The other one, there we go, that's that one done, that's good. Now, back around to this branch, same process. The problem I have now is that my eyes are getting old and I struggle to focus on it. So I have to look through my glasses, over my glasses, under my glasses. Oh, we get there. There we go. Right, to the end of that one. Snippy snippy. Trim back so it's just cut underneath the branch. Back round to the viewing side. Okay. Now, we are going to try and bring this branch just around a little bit. So again, put my thumb at the point where I want to bend it, and then just carefully ease it around. Okay. As long as you've got something nice, fingers or thumb, to bend it with. There we go. Another branch falling off. That looks good. Very happy with that. Just creeping out into the space. And of course, once it's regrown, all the nice new twigs and the foliage pad around the back here, it's going to look good. So, this one here, a little tweak. I just want to bring him a little bit round to the front. I'm going to bend him from here. All right, a little curve so it just subtly creeps out to the foreground. If I can get my fingers in there without knocking off another twig. There we go. Yep. Alright. How does that look? I'll spin around so I can have a look. Good. Now it's creeping down a little bit too much there. So you see the gap here. So I'm just going to bring him up a little bit. And actually I can bend him sort of halfway down, just give him a little bit of a curve, a bit of a sweep up. There. Alright. This one here is sticking up, there's a little twig here, so I'm going to prune him down a little bit. I should get some scissors. Right. There we are, because I want him to shoot out to the side. So there's one that I missed on the pruning bit last video. So there we go. Right. Now, got a bit more shape. Okay, so this first branch down here, he's got a nice shape coming to him now. Curvy a little bit there. This one here we've tweaked, brought him around so that we can see him from the viewing side. We know he's a back branch, so the back branch gives us some depth. We want to try and avoid branches, what we call poke you in the eye branches, so branches that are coming straight out to the front like that. So we call them poke you in the eye branch, poke you in the eye branch, because as you go forward, have a look at the tree, pokes you in the eye. So nice clear view from the front there. Branches spread out nicely, little curves, tweaks, changing direction here, beautiful. And of course a lot of these little ones, like I said earlier, we can tweak some of these little twigs as well, and that's what the smaller wire's for. So if you want to have a little play with those, great. The important thing now is when you've finished your wiring is to check it every week. It's always surprising how fast trees do actually grow. And what will happen is the trunk and the branches will start to swell up a little bit and will try to grow around the wire. And if you don't take the wire off, you'll end up with a scar, and you can end up in bad circumstances where you've got this scarring which obviously follows the wire and it's twisted all the way around. So try to avoid that. And the best way to avoid that is check it every week. As soon as it starts to look a little bit tight, so you can't see the underside of the wire because the bark is starting to grow around it, it's time to get your snippers out, and then just very carefully on each little run like that, just go along and snip all the wire off. And then hopefully the branch is set. Probably take on this type of tree about 4 to 6 weeks. Take all the wire off. If it does move back, put it on, but try to put it on in a different position to the original wire. So there we go. It's all wired now. Alright, spin it around so you can have a look all the way around. Does look better. Here we are, back again. Only 10 days later, look, it's beautiful, isn't it? Look at all these lovely green leaves. New shoots in abundance. In fact, needs pruning. Gosh, amazing. I do love it. It is fantastic. And remember, don't forget to check the wiring.